Hello, and welcome to today's webinar. This is our second workshop on how to get started with the benchmark in 2023. Today's presentation will be recorded and will be posted on the Hub. In addition, an email will be sent to all registered participants with links to the recording and presentation. There are several of you joining us today, and we're really excited to have you. And we want to make sure to capture all of the questions. So please, we encourage you to type your questions into the question box on the webinar doc. Now on to Prina with Textile Exchange. Prina?
Thank you, Rose. Hello, everyone. A very good evening from Bangalore, India. Thanks for joining us today. I am Prerna Pandey from the Materials Benchmark team at Textile Exchange, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all to today's workshop, How to Get Started with Materials Benchmark in 2023. This session is dedicated to our 400 plus returning benchmark participants from previous years, as well as new companies who wish to begin their benchmarking journey in 2023. It is an exciting week for us, as you all may know, that the 2023 benchmark survey is now live. And in these 90 minutes of today's session, we aim to provide a basic overview of the materials benchmark, the 2023 updates and benchmark framework, focus on live demonstrations to help you get started, and introduce you to our supporting guides, updated resources, new how-to series, videos, etc. Just to ensure that you have everything that you need to embark on your benchmarking journey. As we see on this slide, this is the sequence for today. As I briefed you, I will begin with an introduction and take you through how to access the data reporting portal. And then I will pass it over to my colleague, Kiara, who will take us through the materials benchmark framework and resources focusing on materials benchmark guide. We will then open up the floor for Q&A. There will be plenty of opportunity for you to ask questions. So we hope you can type your questions in the Q&A box throughout the session. And then we will try our best to sort of answer those questions. And then my colleague Jessica will do a live demonstration later in the session today to show you how to navigate through the survey. And then we will end with another Q&A round in case that's needed, and then call to action. So yes, we have a packed agenda, but we are really thrilled to have you join us today. And in the next slide, without further ado, I would like to introduce my wonderful team. They are here with us today, and you will hear from a few of us in this session. The benchmark team is led by our senior manager, Haley Boren. My colleagues Jessica and Kiara will be presenting and demonstrating various sections today. We also have our colleague Maria, and we are excited to introduce our newest team member, Claire Adore, who joined us this week, and we are thrilled to welcome her aboard. In the next slide. About the materials benchmark, let me begin with introducing you the materials benchmark. I'm sure many of you are aware of this, but for the new companies who are interested to join the benchmarking journey this year, the materials benchmark is the largest peer-to-peer comparative tracking of fibers and raw materials sourced by companies in the fashion, textile, and apparel industry. It is developed by Textile Exchange to enable companies to track, measure the uptake and impact of fibers and raw materials, to report on a strategic approach for fibers and raw materials against an industry-recognized framework, and to support the industry in reaching the Climate Plus targets of a 45% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions from fiber and raw materials production by 2030. The benchmark program is expanding to support more consolidation in the industry, reporting and deepening its role in tracking progress towards goals for climate and nature. It is worthy to note that the materials benchmark tracks the apparel, footwear, home textile, and multi-sector progress towards more sustainable material sourcing, as well as alignment with global efforts such as Global Biodiversity Framework, the transition to a circular economy, and more. And we'll speak more about that later in the session today. I also want to remind that the materials benchmark is the reporting platform for Textile Exchange materials challenges, such as the Sustainable Cotton Challenge and the Recycled Polyester Challenge. In the next slide. Great. So I want to begin by sharing a few key updates for 2023. To begin, I would like to take this opportunity to share that we are renamed to Materials Benchmark, previously known as the Corporate Fiber and Materials Benchmark Program, or the CFMB program. As you can see, we are done away with long acronyms and are hopefully called by a shorter, more straightforward name. The first key update for this year is that we have new materials benchmark framework, which is streamlined and sleek. My colleague Chiara will take us through the new framework in a bit. The second most important update is that the reporting cycle has shifted earlier in the year to complete the whole benchmark cycle within the same year. This is to ensure that we reduce the gap between the data reported and result generated. We know through stakeholder consultation that this is highly appreciated. And I will take us through the updated timeline in a few minutes. The third and the exciting update is about enhanced partnership and alignment with important industry and reporting partners. To name a few, our circular economy section is consulted with Ella MacArthur Foundation, which is an important partner with us. And as many of you may know from our previous webinars in March, this year we have worked closely with Sustainable Apparel Coalition to begin alignment with the brand and retailer module, or the BRM. However, appreciating that the two surveys have different scopes. We have still hit a first milestone of having about 20 questions aligned in the 2023 Materials Benchmark Survey. These questions are indicated in the new survey. It is exciting to share that the progress so far has been made in both the programs to adopt same terminology and guidance around definitions of preferred, how to calculate uptake, and materials classification. We are very thrilled about this progress, and we hope to work closely on this partnership for further alignment on reporting in the coming years, for example, looking into data sharing capabilities and more. The fourth important update is that we have updated our performance banding. As you all will agree that ours is an evolving and innovative industry, to future-proof with evolving sustainability practices and scenarios, we have updated our scoring methodology, and hence the criteria that sits behind our performance bandings have been updated. This is to ensure that we are on track with our Climate Plus ambitions and can accelerate positive change. Although the 4 performance bands, that was level 1 developing, level 2 establishing, level 3 maturing, and level 4 leading, will be called the same, please note that the criteria to achieve them have been updated. And if time allows, my colleague Haley will talk more about this later in the session today. Our fifth and a very important update is that the suppliers and manufacturers survey is moving out of pilot in 2023, that is this year, to an expansion and establishment phase. We carried out rigorous consultation with participants and stakeholders in 2022 to achieve this. What this means is that in 2023, this year, we have tailored the questions to make sure that the questions are aligned with the needs of suppliers and manufacturers. Also, the questions that were less applicable in the context of suppliers before have been removed or now have the option to select not applicable. Also, in 2023, the materials benchmark scoring methodology will be fully applied to the suppliers and manufacturers program, which means a comprehensive scorecards being generated for them. In the next slide, as mentioned before, the 2023 benchmark cycle has shifted earlier in the year, reducing the gap between data reported and result generated. And I will take you through this timeline in the benchmark journey now. As you can see on the screen, the 4 phases of the benchmark cycle now neatly sit under the 4 quarters of the calendar year, if that's easy to sort of understand in terms of 4 phases. The first phase begins with the outreach and onboarding earlier in the year, and this lasts through Q1 of the year. So between January to March, we ensure that the returning as well as new companies interested to participate in the benchmark in that particular year are informed about what's coming up from introductions, whether via emails or one-on-one calls or overview workshops. We work closely together to ensure that benchmark practitioners are prepared for the upcoming survey. This is also the time when the team preps up the annual update for guidance, support resources, and more. In the second phase, that is the data collection phase, or we generally call it the reporting cycle as well, begins in the second quarter of the year when the survey goes live. We call brands, retailers, suppliers, and manufacturers to begin their current year's data reporting, and this lasts over the quarter 2 of the calendar year. In 2023, the survey has gone live on April 18th, and the submission window will close on June 30th, which is about 11 weeks for companies to complete this survey. And given that the survey questions this year have halved, we hope that this time is more than required for companies to complete the survey. However, since it's the first year that we have shifted the timeline earlier in the year, we do understand if companies have specific concerns, please do reach out to us. Or if it's your first year benchmarking with us, do let us know and we'll be there to find the best solution for you. During this time, we also run our weekly drop-in clinics every Thursday. These are informal sessions conducted during the reporting period, allowing the opportunity to meet or even listen into what peers are asking and experiencing. This year is the third year that we're running in the drop-in sessions, but we have added a few improvements to the drop-in sessions. We began these drop-in sessions a few weeks ago, that was on March 30th, to ensure that the participating companies have time to get in touch with us prior, and this was with the intent to help them in better planning and allocation of time and resources for the current year. We also have introduced 2 time slots each week. That is, every Thursday we cover 2 time zones to ensure that participants from all over the globe have the opportunity to meet the team. And this year we have also introduced theme sessions. So every week on Thursdays, we sort of begin these sessions with a particular theme, which is pre-announced via the Materials Benchmark Hub, which I'll talk to you in a bit about. And the team generally takes the first 15-20 minutes of the drop-in session to introduce their theme to the audience, and then we open up the floor for informal discussions, query solving, etc. And lastly, the surprise element is that few of these sessions this year have guest speakers for some of the sessions, depending on the theme, of course, and this will also be pre-announced via the Materials Benchmark Hub. So definitely Materials Benchmark Hub is something we'll talk more about with you today, and do look out for these announcements there. The third phase after the survey closes on 30th June, we enter the data analysis phase to start reviewing submissions for completeness and evidence. During this time, we share our feedback with participants in case we need any further information and evidence. And once this is all complete, we start analyzing the data for individual as well as aggregated results. This is also the time when we carry out a stakeholder consultation to receive feedbacks and take into consideration any improvement for the next year. After that, in quarter 4 of the calendar year, we aim to launch the benchmark results. This is the time where company receives their confidential company scorecards as well as aggregated public results, such as the Material Change Index, or the MCI, which is a public listing of participating brands and retailers showcasing their overall performance banding, as well as the impacts dashboard, showcasing the aggregated impacts and movement of the cohort to achieve the Climate Plus targets. This year, the impacts dashboard will be integrated with Textile Exchange Climate Plus dashboard, and more to come on this over the next few months. This is how we end our benchmarking journey at the end of the calendar year. We hope this has helped you in understanding the 4 phases of the benchmark cycle and what's coming along in the year. Thank you. So now we enter a more practical phase of this session, where we will show you some practical demos and talk to you more about how to get started with the survey. In this first section, I will cover the registration of the user management, which is a new feature added. If you're a new company and are sure to begin the benchmarking journey in 2023, please enroll your interest by completing our registration form that you can see on their screen. There's also a link provided. And in this form, you will need to add some basic details about you and your company, and then register with us. Please remember that if you're a company who has previously registered with the data reporting portal, for example, for previous year benchmark surveys, please do not create a duplicate account so you don't have to go through the registration process. And in case you're unsure, check with our team at benchmark@textileexchange.org. Once we have received your registration, you will receive an on-screen confirmation from us as well as an email confirmation from us with further details. Upon activation from our side, you will receive another notification via email with instructions to get started. Now that the reporting season has begun, we are activating registrations every 24 hours. So you can hope to receive the activation notification from us as soon as you register within 24 hours. We have created a new video on registration and user management, which is also linked in this slide. And this PPT will be shared with all of you as a follow-up email. So you will have this with you. In the next slide. Perfect. This is for returning companies. This is to ensure that you do not have to go through registration because you have benchmarked with us before and you have an account in this data reporting portal. All you have to do is use your previous year login credentials, as you see on the screen, and just log into your portal. We are thrilled to announce that we've introduced the new user management system for existing users, where they can add new users by themselves or be able to activate or inactivate users. And I will show you in a second. Let me quickly grab the screen to show you a live demo of how you can use this new feature. Perfect. I hope you all can see my screen. I will now show you when you are an existing user or have login credentials to the data reporting portal. As you log in, you will see your home screen. And of course, we'll take you through this later in this session, but my focus is to bring your attention to the user management, which is a new feature that we have added this year. Once you click on it, you will be able to see all the active users from your company, and as well as all the inactive users from your company. There are 3 new features that you can access through this new system. And the first one is to add a new user. In case you wish to add a new user from your company, it's become very simple. All you have to do is click on this button, add a new user, add a few details of the new user or your colleague that you wish to grant access, and just paste the information. Bear with me while I'm typing, and all you have to do is confirm. The user will be added to the system, and they will also receive a notification. Yes, they will receive a notification on their email with a temporary password with which they can log in to your data reporting portal. So this is how you add a new user. Also, in case you want to deactivate an active user from your team, or for example, for any reason, if they have left the company, or if they've changed departments or gone on maternity leaves, whatever the reason may be, you can deactivate that user. All you have to do is switch off that button that I just showed you and enter the reason. For example, I'm going to type left the company and just click on save. This will deactivate the user, and it will also send them an email stating that their access has been deactivated along with the reason that you stated. So that's as simple as that. And then in case, the third function is if you want to activate an inactive user, for example, if somebody has come back from maternity leave, you can activate them by just turning on the switch. This will activate them, and they will be able to log back into the portal again, and they will also receive a confirmation email that their access has been activated. They will receive a temporary password which they can use, and after using the temporary password to log in, they can obviously change their password by using this option, change password. So we are really thrilled to introduce this new system that we call the user management that you can find on the top of your screen, on your home screen once you log in. And we really hope that this makes your life easier in terms of sort of managing users and access in your secure data reporting portal. With that, I will pass it over to my colleague, Chiara. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Prina. And for those who don't know me, I'm Chiara, and I'm Benchmark Manager here at Textile Exchange. And I'm really excited to be here with you today, launching the 2023 cycle of the Materials Benchmark. I'd like to start with sharing the new framework of the Materials Benchmark. As Prina said, we have spent the last 12 months in updating the framework, be sure that the program is fit for purpose. And I wanted to start deep diving in the different sections. Before starting your submission, please take the time to understand which section you would like or you are ready to complete. It's really important to understand what should be in the scope of your submission for this year and what you need to do in order to complete the sections. This is what the updated Materials Benchmark framework look like. For those who knew the previous one, there are still 3 sections. So section 1, business integration and circular economy. Section 2, materials portfolio, and section 3, impact areas. It's important to say that because we want to provide a flexible survey and we would like to welcome more companies joining the Materials Benchmark, the only mandatory section is the materials portfolio, which is also the core of the program. All the other sections are optional. As companies are at the different phases of their sustainability journey, the Materials Benchmarks want to give the opportunity for an incremental growth year on year. And the decision on selecting specific section can be based on the maturity on the specific topic, the applicability for a company, the interest, and the specific requests from key stakeholders. For returnees, companies that have reported for years through the benchmark and completed the whole survey, we recommend continuing with the same approach for consistency with data reporting. And for new companies, so companies that are starting benchmarking with us this year, depending on where you are on your sustainability strategy and journey, please select the option that suits you best. If ready, of course, we recommend companies to complete all the section for a complete reporting exercise. And it's important to stress that all brands and retailers that decide to be featured in the MCI can take part even if they complete only one section. But the MCI badge is only for those who complete all the section. To the next slide, please. In order for you to take an informed decision, we would like to go through all the section with you and give you some takeaways for each of the section. The first section is business integration, and is the first part of section 1 and includes all the questions related to the company's raw material sustainability approach and how it is integrated in the core of the business. This data help Textile Exchange and the Materials Benchmark in understand if participants have started to strategically work on the raw material sustainability and integrate it in the overall company strategy. What's new for this year is that we have streamlined the questions. So last year there were around 50 data points. There are now only 23 questions. And the first question of business integration is a condition question. That means that the answer options selected here will be displayed across the section in specific questions. This has been done to avoid replication of questions if not needed and not selected by the company or maybe not applicable for the company. So we really wanted to streamline as much as possible the approach in the different sections. The sections allowed companies not only to report on the activities and strategy related to raw materials, but also interconnected topics that happens at raw material production, such as the impact on climate, on biodiversity, on fresh water, and other key impacts. And beside activities, strategy, and targets, this section will deep dive asking what companies are doing to align with the SDGs, and if they're part of any global commitment, for example, UNFCCC or science-based targets. How is the company's board, CEO, or senior management accountable for integrating sustainability in the company, and also how they're working with the stakeholders to integrate a sustainable approach. If the employees have been trained in specific sustainability topics, and if it's part of their responsibilities. If risk assessment have been carried out, so what are the risks that the company detected? How are stakeholders being engaged again? And two other key topics, which are the level of investments from a company perspective, and if companies started to report their progress and activities also publicly. Next slide, please. The second part of section 1 is circular economy. Circular economy has been created to understand how companies are transitioning towards a circular economy, how they are rethinking the linear business model, and how they are implementing strategy to decouple economic activity from the consumption of finite resources. What's new in this section? Again, we streamline it. So we reduced the number of questions compared to the previous year, and we got 14 questions. And again, the first question of this section is conditioned. That means that the answer options selected here will show only specific questions. For example, if you selected circular business model as an option, the circular business model subsections and related question will appear. Otherwise, they won't appear and they won't be displayed. This has been done to avoid questions that are non-applicable for a specific company, or if the company is not currently working or is not interested in the topic at the moment. Besides activities, strategy, and targets on circular economy, this section will deep dive asking on topics such as circular business model, as I already mentioned. So rental, resale, reuse, for example. Resource efficiency activities to understand how companies are reducing their pre-consumer waste, unsold finished good, or closing the loop at process level. How companies are integrating circular design techniques, and specifically on which one they're working on. Post-consumer textile collection and related sorting, recycling, remanufacturing, and discovering if companies are approaching end-of-life certifications. To the next slide, please. The second section is the materials portfolio. This is the core section of the materials benchmark. As I was saying before, it's mandatory. And it collects participant uptake data across all raw materials. The aim is to track if companies are progressing towards using more non-conventional raw materials in their portfolio. As with previous year, to complete this section of the survey, participants need to prepare their uptake data for the reporting period. Companies are asked at least to share their priority materials uptake data based on what they consider priority, and we also support guidance in understanding what priority could mean for a company, and only the priority raw materials will be scored in this section. What's new in this section is that we removed all the materials modules. So for companies that knew the previous structure, we removed the materials module to centralize all data and information on the raw materials in this section. The aim was to make this more user-friendly and really centralize all the needed data in one section. Starting from this year, company will also be able to report on many more raw materials. We moved from 8 from last year to 14 this year. So the possibility to report on raw materials has been amplified consistently. The question, what are the question asking? So besides asking for uptake data, so the volumes, as we already mentioned, question include asking if companies have targets to increase the use of non-conventional raw materials. How are these targets? Are qualitative or smart targets? We are asking traceability related questions, such as the chain of custody of product claims, transparency information, such as the country of origin and producer mapping, risk associated in sourcing or using a specific raw material, and the possibility to trace back the origin of recycled materials in case they are sourced, like if the origin is from textile or non-textile, pre-consumer or post-consumer, mechanical or chemical recycling. The material trend subsection give also the opportunity to companies to check their portfolio trends comprising past, current, and forecasted use. To the next slide. This is the final section, section 3, and this has been the most changes for 2023. In line with our Climate Plus goals, we have developed, again, also in this section, questions related to climate, biodiversity, freshwater, oceans, land use, and soil health. And it's definitely, compared to last year, a step up towards achieving our Climate Plus goal. This time was taken to ensure that we are aligned in terminology with the science-based target for nature. Questions include if companies are assessing their impact on climate and nature, and at raw material production, and what are the tools and frameworks that are using to do that? Are they setting targets to reduce these impacts, and what are the activities they're implementing to reduce these impacts? Sources restriction, measure to restore and regenerate nature are just two of the examples that we're providing. To the next slide, please. So this concludes the overview and the deep dive in the different section. And another very operational perspective and topic, it's definitely deep dive in the resources that we have provided. So to support this shift in the timeline, we have worked very hard on providing more guidance and more support throughout the materials benchmark journey. There are several different resources available for you to use, and you can find all of them in the materials benchmark toolkit. Participants can access all the resources here, just clicking on the link that I'm going to show you now. Jessie, can you please open the toolkit so we can have a quick look with the folks?
Can you see it, Chiara?
No, not yet. I can still see the slide.
No.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. So this is what the materials benchmark toolkit look like. And I just wanted to explain how it has been structured, because we want you to be able also to share this with colleagues that might be interested, or companies or peers that they would like to have some information on the materials benchmark, or maybe would like to start reporting through the materials benchmark. In Discover, we can find the basic information. Step to get started is a 2-pager when we really share the basic information. In Start, we have provided the intro PPT that you might have seen already if you joined us in the webinar before or in some one-to-one calls, and it's really providing key information of the materials benchmark. The scope, who can participate, why to participate in the materials benchmark. Another key topic to start, it's another key tool to start, is definitely the FAQ. So we have 2 different FAQ guides. The first one is general on the materials benchmark, and the second one is specifically been drafted for the challenges. So if you are a participant of any of Textile Exchange Challenge, I would recommend you to have a look and read the challenges FAQ, so you can understand what's the interconnection between the challenges and reporting exercise done through the benchmark. In addition, you have here the link to watch the recording of the past webinar and the current one that we're doing now. You will see the recordings that are in our library in the hub. To support companies step by step as well, we also recorded few videos. And in this section, you can find the one related on how to register and manage users in the data reporting portal. So what Prina mentioned before. In the DICE section, we really have more detailed and bigger documents, I would say. And this document can support you in the completion of the survey. The core is represented by the materials benchmark guide, and we will deep dive in this in few minutes. And the materials benchmark guide includes all the questions of the survey. Another key document dedicated only to Textile Exchange members is the onboarding checklist. This document can be really used as a real checklist with practical suggestions to get ready to start the reporting cycle. So how to prepare data, how to collect evidence, train the team, and set timelines. For these companies, that want to deep dive in understanding the technicalities that sit behind the materials benchmark, how to calculate the uptake data, what are the conversion rates about. We have drafted and updated the uptake calculation guide and the uptake calculator. The calculator can be used by company, not collecting data at fiber level, and it will convert product, fabric, or yarn volumes back to the fiber using Textile Exchange standard conversion rates. Other two very clear step-by-step videos have been created and recorded to support the company in better understanding the framework that sits behind the materials benchmark and how to complete the materials portfolio, which again, I want to remind is the only mandatory section of the materials benchmark. And in the last bit, you will see that, of course, we need to stay connected, we need to talk, we need to you to ask your questions, and we will try to provide as many support as possible. That's why we really would like to have a more active materials benchmark community in the hub. So please register in the hub, be part of the hub, and try to also ask your question posting in the dedicated community. You will also see that all the resources will be there. We will posting the link to the toolkit. So please be sure to be part of it. And another great example are the drop-in clinics that Prina mentioned before, and she explained that this year we will have themed drop-in clinics. So be sure to join until June 29th, which will be the last day of the drop-in clinics. These are informal sessions, so you can just show, ask your question, and then you are not expected to stay for the full hour. Thank you so much, Jessie, for sharing the toolkit. I can now take the screen. Okay, perfect. And the idea here is that I wanted to go through with the materials benchmark survey guides with you. And for doing that, I'm going to share the survey guide. So this is the PDF that you will find clicking on the link in the toolkit. Sorry, I'm just going to stop the video so you can focus on the document. And we would like just to spend some time explaining how we structured the document. It's a big, extensive document. So we just wanted to give you some tips on how to read what's inside this. And the idea for this year is that in previous year, we had a lot of different guides for the different sections and the different topics. This year, we really wanted to focus on one document, so you don't have to jump in from one to the other and really want to focus your attention on this one. So first of all, you might need to read and consult only a part of the guide, depending on the sections that you decide to complete. So just please use the content, the table of contents, where you can find that the guide is divided by sections. And you can simply click on the section that you would like to get to, or you can simply click on the specific question that you would like to have more guidance on. Now, I just wanted to explain how the guide is structured and what are the key topics that you have to look at. First of all, each of the section has an overall intent, so explaining the purpose. You will see how many questions are part of that specific section, how many are scored, and how many are applicable for brands and retailers and suppliers and manufacturers, respectively. Fashion pack companies would also, for fashion pack companies, we also indicated whether that section is mandatory or not. After that, at level question, you will see this table here with this colorful boxes. First of all, you will see if that specific question is scored or non-scored. And we will see that for scored question, only evidence are needed. Then the applicability, if the specific question is applicable only for suppliers or for brands or for both of the two groups. The external alignment indicates alignment with external frameworks, and the main reference here is the brand and retailer module from the Sustainable Apparel Coalition and the Fashion Pact for Fashion Pact reporting companies. With internal alignment, we also wanted to show you the links that are between the materials benchmark and Textile Exchange tools, resources, and reports. So we also specify this for you. Then you will see a summary of the question. Why are we asking this question? How the mandatory evidence could look like. So we just wanted to provide you some examples of how evidence could be for the specific question, but it's not limited to the example that we are providing. And if the specific questions are related to SDGs, to any SDG. One important thing related to evidence, as I was saying, evidence is only mandatory for scored questions. And we are asking you to provide evidence that refer to the reporting period. If the reporting period for this year, for example, is 2022, the sustainability report that you are sharing with us needs to be dated 2022. There are 3 types of evidence that you can provide, and we are asking you to tick the button of the specific evidence that you would like to provide. So you can provide free text, and you would need to take additional information in the survey, and Jessie will explain how that works. Or if you would like to provide a web link or an attachment, you need to tick the box here. With free text, you will be able to write down a short paragraph of text, and you can also, of course, copy paste it from specific reports or the website. For web links or attachment, we will be asking you to click on attach documents and include the web link, so the URL, complete the URL field, or attach the document. So choose the file and attach the document. I just wanted to share, there are 2 other, there are 2 other fields for each of the questions. There is the answer option and how to answer the questions. And I just wanted to show you how a question look like in the guide. So that's what we went through basically. So the boxes with all the different guidance, the summary where we're asking this question. Because this is scored, you will see the example that you can provide here. And then you will have each of the answer option with the specific guidance. So these options should be selected if your company. And we try to provide as many examples and guidance as possible, so you could really be sure that the specific option is the correct one for you. The last thing that I would like to mention is the glossary. So you will see in the guidance that there are different highlighted terms and words. Just please click on them, and this will guide you back to the glossary that it's at the end of the document. So that brings me back to my final point, which are the links to the how-to videos we shared here with you as well, but of course they are part of the toolkit. And that concludes my part. Hopefully that has been interesting for you, and I will just leave the floor for the Q&A.
Thanks, Chiara. So I'm Hayley, the Senior Manager of the Benchmark team, and we have 3 questions which I will address. So the first one is, we are a manufacturer and it is not clear to us whether the materials benchmark survey is relevant. So this year, we've actually worked at Textile Exchange, and there's actually 2 reporting offers for suppliers. There is a materials market report directory and the materials benchmark. We have an FAQ which I can share with you, so you can read through to see which option is most applicable for you. But there are actually 2 ways that you can take part this year. The second question is, can you clarify how getting rid of the materials modules, where did it go? Materials modules expands a mandatory question. So what happened this year is, what was last year, that we had the materials balance sheet where we asked for some data, your uptake data, some information around targets, and then there were the specific material modules. So this year we streamlined everything. So all of the ask with regards to your raw materials, so your uptake, your chain of custody, your transparency, is all now in one section. So all of the information is contained now in section 2. So there will not be the individual material modules. Hopefully that answers that question. The next question we have is, has the password to the toolkit been shared? So the toolkit that Chiara shared is actually, there isn't a password. There is one element which is member only, and that does have a password, but we can share the link to the toolkit. I think that goes out as part of the slide for the webinar. And I think I will hand back to, I think it's Jessie, who will go through the live demo.
Yes. So thank you very much. So I'm Jessica, Benchmark Manager, and now it's time to put all that theory into practice. So I'm gonna be sharing the Benchmark platform. Hopefully you can see it. And also I'm gonna turn off my camera so you can focus on the demo. So I'm gonna explain you how to complete your survey. This is the Textile Exchange data reporting portal. As you can see, for returnees, the branding has been updated. And also we want to send a big thank you to 73bit, our provider, for all the work and for making this possible. So as you can see here at the top, we have an overview of what the different surveys are about. You will see the Materials Benchmark Survey 2023, that we're going to focus on that today. Also, we have the Fashion Pack Survey 2023 and the Materials Market Report and Directory Survey. You will also see the submission deadline here. On the right panel, you will get also an overview of the resource library with key resources, and also again here the submission date for the different surveys. And of course, you can reach out to us at benchmark@textileexchange.org. So depending on the survey selected during the registration that Prina explained before, you will see here the survey. For example, if you're a brand, you will see the brand's survey. If you're suppliers, you will see the suppliers survey. For this demo, we are going to focus on the brands and retailers survey, but that will work very similarly for the supplier survey. The survey will appear under the new tab. In this case, the Brands and Retailer Materials Benchmark Survey 2023 is under open because we needed to complete some data for the demo. Also, just to mention that we are going to make reference to the Fashion Pact 2023 survey because it's also reporting partially through the Materials Benchmark survey. But also there is a different survey for Fashion Pact that will appear here if you are a Fashion Pact member. So let's start by opening the survey. To give you an overview, here on the left, you will have key links. So you will have the website to the benchmark, the guidance that Chiara explained before, that is a key document. You will have all the questions and also how to answer. And of course, if you have any question, you can drop us an email here. On the top, you will see also the downloadable survey in Word and also in PDF. And again, on the right, you will always have all the resources if you need it. So here, as we saw before in the framework, you will see all the sections if you select it. So let's see how you can lock and unlock the different sections. Let's start from the top. So the introduction. So the introduction is a part of the framework and is mandatory for everybody. Here, basically, we ask about admin information. Like, for example, participant profile. So everything related to your contact and company details. Survey preference. So this one, I'm going to open it because it's very important to see how it works. As we said before, the only mandatory section for everybody is a materials portfolio. But of course, also you have the option to complete the rest of the sections. So by clicking here, you will be selecting the section that you want to complete. Let's see that for the demo, we're going to select business integration, circular economy, and impact areas. Just to mention that the Fashion Pact survey here, the selection will be for returnees. Always you need to save and continue if you want to move to the next question. If you want to go back to the overview, you just need to click here under overview. Then also there is a question on terms of service. So Textile Exchange is GDPR compliant. And here we ask you about to sign up the terms and conditions of Textile Exchange. Also, I'm going to pause here in one of the questions, which is the Materials Change Index. So this is one of the key tools that we provide of the benchmark. Is in the public domain. It's completely optional. So if you want to be part or not, you have to click here. So let's start with the framework of the benchmark. Since we selected here in survey preference that we wanted to complete all the sections will appear here. How we're going to approach that? So first, I'm going to give a high-level overview of section 1, so business integration, circular economy, and then also section 3, so impact areas. Then we're going to deep dive a bit more on the materials portfolio, which is the core of the framework. So let's start with business integration. Also, just to mention, I know that before my colleague Chiara mentioned, but it's very important that the reporting data for the current survey is always the previous year. So this survey is the 2023 materials benchmark survey. So we are asking for the 2022 data. We always say that it's very important to be consistent year on year on how you are reporting your data. So business integration, let's start with the first question. And the first question you will always get we will always ask you if you want to complete or not, but it will be locked since you selected that you wanted to complete it. So we move to the next question. So here you will see for every section that at the top we have the guidance. So the guidance is a summary of the long document that we saw before. Then also you will see here, we will reflect when a question is mandatory for Fashion Pact signatories. Also here, BRM, so BRM refers to the brands and retailers modules of the Sustainable Apparel Coalition. For the first time this year, we have aligned in several questions and we are also reflecting that here. You will also see here that we are identifying when a question is scored or not. Important also to mention that for all score questions, the evidence are mandatory. So how that works? Imagine here, you have selected that in development, no? That your raw materials sustainability strategy is in development. So here you will need to provide at least one evidence. Either you can provide additional information, so you just type the text here, or you add a web link or an attachment. You can select one or both of them, but at least one of them has to be selected, because if that's not the case, the system won't allow you to submit your survey. You will find here also a pop-up in this question mark with key information about this specific question. And also we make reference on the evidence that you will need to provide. As we saw before, this question is a condition question. So by selecting here, the rest of the answers will display. That has been done in order to streamline the survey and also to avoid any duplication and also any issue with non-applicable questions. So let's move to now circular economy. So how circular economy work is very similar to how business integration works. So in this section, we are looking at how companies transition to a circular economy. We have 14 questions and 2 questions are scored. I'm going to jump directly to this question here. You will see that works very similarly, the guidance and the rest of the things that we saw before. Also mention here that you will find across the survey these definitions for certain terms. So if, for example, we don't know what we mean about ad hoc activities, you just need to hover it and then you will find the definition. Again, here we can see that this is a score question. So imagine that here, for whatever reason, you forget to add your evidence. So when you save and continue to move to the next question, you will get here a warning saying that, okay, you need to complete that. So let's now jump into the core of the framework, the materials portfolio. So this part, as we have been saying during the entire workshop, is that this is an essential component of the framework and is the only mandatory section. So the materials portfolio collects your uptake data across all raw materials. In the past, we had 7, and now we have 14. And why that's important? Because by that, we're tracking the volumetric use of conventional and non-conventional materials to understand your progress year on year. Okay, let's start. So for this demo, we have selected 2 raw materials, in this case, cotton and polyester. But of course, you can select as many as you use. Imagine that you want to use, you are also using alpaca, you can select it here. For the demo, I'm going to remove it. Then the next question will be, can you report on that specific raw material? So you will need to select here if that's the case. And if you cannot, please don't select it, because otherwise you won't be able to submit the survey if you don't have the data. So for the demo, let's select polyester that you can report. And then you save and continue. I'm going to jump into polyester directly, so we see how it works. So here, the first question will be about targets. And how it works is very similarly, depending the answer that you select, you will get as sub-questions that you also will need to reply on. The objective of this question is to see where you are on your targets and to see whether these targets are public or not. And of course, also we are asking for evidence. Let's select this one to be able to move here. I'm going to select this one, sorry. For example, let's select that. And let's save and continue. Okay, sorry for that. Now. So now let's move to this very important question. So here we are asking about the uptake data. So this question is essential and is where we are diving into the specific data. So basically we are asking for detailed reporting on your raw materials portfolio. The uptake data identifies the volume of your raw materials, in this case for polyester. So first you will need to select here the categories that you are using for polyester. Here we have, as you can see, we have selected recycled polyester and other polyester program. When you select it here, you will get it in the first column, so in the raw materials production column. Then the next column that you will need to complete is the raw materials processing. You click on the blue button on the pencil and you will get that pop-up. So here in the pop-up, you will need to select the specific category that you are using for your recycled polyester in the processing phase. You can select all the ones that we have here in the drop-down. Let's select this one, Global Recycle Standard. Will appear here. And then we have this free text box where you can specify anything that you think is important. And then the percentage. So you need to add the percentages of that specific category in the processing stage for your recycled polyester that you are sourcing. Once you have completed that, you click that. The next column is the uptake. Again, we click here and you will get a pop-up. We need to complete that table from the left to the right. So the first one is a reporting tier, and we have 4 reporting tiers from product, yarn, fiber, and fabric. Next one is the volume. So you need to specify the specific volume that you have for that fiber. In this case, let's put 10,000. And then the metric. So here we have 3 units. We have kilograms, metric tons, and pounds. We always recommend, if possible, to report on metric tons. And then the product. So the product, we have apparel, we have home textile, and mixed uptake calculator. So when we say mixed uptake calculator, so this option is only applicable for those who are using the Textile Exchange uptake calculator that Clara explained before. It will be at the end of this week here in the resource library. Once you have completed all that, the conversion rate will appear here, is embedded in the system. It will be automatically calculated, this uptake here. Regarding the conversion rates, it's very important because offer a standardized approach to convert product, which is this case, fabric, yarn use back to fiber and we need that for a consistent baseline measurement. So here what we are getting is the fiber. How to unlock that? So that will be only applicable if you are selecting fabric. In this case, let's keep product and let's click done. In case that might be the case for some of you, that you cannot report the specific uptake, so you can also provide an estimate, and that will be the case. For example, for all the polyester program, we have added 40% of the total polyester that you source, and then automatically the system will make the calculation. Going back to the recycled polyester, once we have completed the uptake, the final uptake that will be calculated by the system. Let's move to the next column, product claim. So when we talk about product claim here, we refer to a product or category of products that are certified and are linked to an assurance process. We need to have special care to ensure that the claims are, of course, true, accurate, and not misleading. In this case, we have selected that we have a chain of custody along the supply chain. Also, we are asking if we are making a product claim. We have selected yes. And the last question is the percentage of that product claim along the supply chain. In this case, we have specified 70%. The next column is the country of origin. So what do we mean about country of origin? We refer to the raw materials where the raw materials is grown, cultivated, or otherwise produced. In this case, we have selected the country of origin, China, And then also we ask about the percentage of volume. We have added 90%. So we know that 90% of our recycled polyester comes from China. If possible, also we are asking about the site location. Once you have complete, you close that pop-up and we move to the next column, which is the producer mapping. Sorry. So here we refer to the how, if you can trace back to producer or farmers level, the percentage. In this case, we have added 30%, which means that 30 you are able to trace back to your producer, since we are talking about polyester, 30%. And last column of this table is the program's targets. So here we're asking about the raw materials level. You will need to specify your uptake target. You can do it in percentage and metric tons. Here we recommend to do it in percentage if possible. And then you will need to also indicate the baseline year. So when you have started working on that target and then when you aim to achieve that target. Again, we are here asking if you are making that public or not. And we have to say, we say yes here. And then once you have completed all the table, you can click done. So that table will appear for every single raw material that you select in the first question that we saw at the beginning of the materials portfolio. Very important always to save and continue, but always we say that for this specific table is essential because it's a lot of work. We know there's a lot of data, so ensure that you don't lose any of your data. Let's move to the next question. So here we are talking about risk prioritization assessment. So here we refer to how your risks are associated at the country level based on the raw materials that you are sourcing. Here we have selected that yes, and you will see that under risk there is also a drop down with different risks. This list is based on the Textile Exchange Global Fibers Impact Explorer. Then we want to link it to the specific location. So that's why we're asking for that. And you will find that pop up where, again, you will get a drop down and you will need to specify the country. If possible, again, if you can specify the state and province, that will be much appreciated in terms of data. So again, we save and continue and move to the next question. We're close to the final of the demo of the materials portfolio. So this one, here we refer to recycle. It's a recycle question. And this question will be only unlocked if you have selected recycle at the beginning. In this case, since we say, okay, we are using recycled polyester, you will get this question here. So basically here, we'll ask you about pre-consumer and post-consumer recycled materials, textile or non-textile feedstock. So you will need to enter here the textile share, and then that will be calculated automatically also by the system. Imagine here that for post-consumer, you are using 40%, it's coming 40% from your post-consumer. So you will see that this number here is calculated by the system. If you use non-textile, please specify here, and again, the system will calculate it for you. If you're using non-textile, then this question here will also unlock for you, and you will need to specify exactly the non-textile based feedstock if you know it. And the last question is about recycling process use. I'm going to go to the overview. We have almost completed all the materials portfolio. Just to mention that also there is a question around materials trends that we always only unlock, for those materials that you use. In this case, polyester. And here, basically, we are tracking progress towards the targets. And the last one is the metadata. So the metadata is where we collect further information on how your company calculates update data for each of the reported raw materials. And also we ask for further information on the source of your update data and the calculations that you have been using for that. With that, I finish the explanation of the materials portfolio. Hopefully it was clear. Feel free to drop the questions on the Q&A, please. I'm gonna just finalize it, this last question, which is the impact area. So how the impact area works is very similar to how the business integration and the circular economy works. Just to mention that this section, we ask about the progress, the targets, and how you are monitoring and reporting for climate and nature related activities. As we mentioned before, this is aligned with our Textile Exchange Climate Plus goal. Just to show you how it looks like, I'm gonna jump here in this question. You will see that you will find the same elements that we saw before. And again, here we will have condition questions to ensure that you find a streamlined survey. Once you have completed all the questions, you will need to go to the submission part, and ensure to also complete some admin questions that we ask you to ensure that you have been providing all the information. And then basically you will need to submit. But before submitting, just to mention this update also, that if some of the questions are incomplete or you have skipped it for whatever reason, you will get here a summary seeing all the questions that you will need to go back and complete before submitting. With this materials benchmark survey, we really try to help you to track your progress and impacts year on year. So that's the demo. Hopefully it was clear. You have enjoyed. Please drop your questions in the Q&A. I think now we have some time for Q&A, right, Haley? So I'm gonna.
Oh, I was going to say, Lucy, before you stop sharing, we had a question with regards to someone not being able to see the module. So I wondered if you could just go back through the conditioned question in intro, just to reiterate what to select. Sorry, curveball.
That's the right moment, to ask these questions.
Perfect. Yes. So just in answer to the question, this is where you select your survey preference. So as Jessie mentioned, if you wanted to complete, just say the business integration, you select there. And then in the overview, you should see the business integration section become sort of available and live. So it's in that IN21 where you can do your survey selection. So there you go, like magic. So hopefully that answers that question. Another question is, sorry, I haven't done these in order, so I apologize. Last year, the survey respondents were not required to respond to each material module. Is that the same this year, essentially? And exactly that. So again, as Jessie showed in the demo, you can select all of the, I guess, the raw materials you actually source, but then using the CAN report is where we would actually suggest that you tick and then provide the uptake data. So you start with just your preferred or your priority materials. So we're not requiring you to provide uptake for everything. If you can, I mean, that's absolutely great. But we do appreciate that, you know, everyone's at a bit of a different stage. So there is the option to say what you source and then that option to tick if you can actually report for this year. Another question is, how is the materials benchmark useful for brands? So we did actually cover this in the introduction to the materials benchmark, so I can also share the PowerPoint. But really, the materials benchmark does help brands to track and measure their uptake and their impact of their sourcing of raw materials. And as a collective, it really does support the industry in reaching that Climate Plus goal of 45% reduction. And then I guess, in addition, brands receive a confidential scorecard. This is extremely detailed. And again, it is analysis of your uptake data and the impacts that you're having. And it's a comparison. So again, we encourage everybody to start reporting this year and sort of stick with it for 3 years. So you can have that trend analysis and that comparison. I guess another benefit is that you are named and famed on our material change index. which again is optional, but again, we encourage everybody to sort of celebrate their success publicly. And then again, the collective data features as part of our impact data. So for the 2023, this is shifted. So our materials impact dashboard as it stands will actually be integrated into the wider organization Climate Plus dashboard. So hopefully that helps, and we can. I'm happy to share as well the introduction to the benchmark PowerPoint. It goes through some of the benefits, and yeah, so that I will share. I'll drop the link to that in the chat. In another question is, in the upcoming drop-ins, might some brands or users share examples of the benefits of participating? This would be fantastic, and this is essentially what the drop-ins are for. So the first sort of 5 to 10 minutes, the team will give some updates or go over, you know, some important information, but the purpose and sort of the use of the drop-ins is really for the participants to engage and to share best practices. Maybe as a note for us as a team, we can sort of collate some best practices and see if we can get any current participants to, you know, share their experiences. But that really is the whole purpose of the drop-ins, is to try and create this sort of a community of practitioners. The next one is in reference to the uptake section. Do you recommend using product option versus fabric or yarn? This is really a sort of a company level decision. So it's where you feel that the data is most accurate. So I think, as Chiara mentioned, we have the calculator to help you convert and with the conversion factors and to take things back to the fiber level. But I guess how you enter the data, what data you use, is I guess how accurate that is within your organization and company. But again, we can share the links to the calculator, to the guidance on how we suggest sort of working on the uptake data. Apologies. Can you join the drop-in if you haven't signed up to complete the survey? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, feel free to just come and join and take part and meet the team. Again, they're very, very informal sessions. They're not sort of a structured workshop like this, but yeah, it is just a way for people to connect and discuss benchmarking, as fun as that sounds. How do you evaluate the sustainability criteria? So all of our modeling is done based using the MSI. We're updating it again for the 2023 results. But yeah, there's a number of things we factor in. So now with our sort of advanced Climate Plus data that we have, yeah, the MSI from the Sustainable Apparel Coalition. So all of its data models. So it might look slightly different for this year, but all of that's sort of still in development for the scorecards, which will be released in November this year. And I've done. I think I've answered all of the questions, and apologies if I've missed any. But I think we still have some time, and I just wanted to briefly and quickly just mention or follow up actually of what was mentioned earlier, which was the score methodology. We have updated it, and the scoring that sits behind our performance bandings has changed. So it's for some of you that are returning this year, it's just to maybe normalize that your score might change, maybe even your banding might change, but the full methodology will be sort of live and public next week. We're still just working on sort of the guide for this. And this really has been developed in consultation and partnership with our internal teams and some key external stakeholders, as well as some of our existing participants. But essentially, the score methodology hasn't been updated since 2019. And with the changes to the framework, it did feel like a really good time to revisit and revamp the scoring, to really make sure it was fully aligned with our sort of ambition to create change and our organizational Climate Plus goals. The other feedback that we had was that the scoring methodology was complex and it wasn't really easy to understand. So we really did take this feedback on board, and we have refined and simplified it. So some of the key updates that you will see on the slide is that the percentages has been removed. So it was quite a complicated point and percentage system in the previous version, but now we have 100 points. As you can see, these are allocated across the 3 sections. So this makes it a lot more easier to understand. Circularity has now sits in section 1 with business integration. So some of the weightings here are being redistributed. So section 1, so the approach and business integration and circular economy is now worth 30. As you can see, section 2, which is the mandatory part of the benchmark, does still carry the most points, and this is 60. A key difference this year is that the absolute volume has been removed. And you are awarded points for your targets, your risk assessments, but again, the majority of the score does go to your uptake of your non-conventional. The final section, which is section 3, and I'm just seeing that that's a typo there, that should say section 3, impact areas, is 10 points. And again, as you saw through the guidance and actually on the platform itself, we have flagged where the questions are scored and where we will require additional information. And as sort of a focus of one of the drop-in clinics, we are going to explain this in a lot more detail. So if you do have any questions about the score methodology, so once the guide has been released and you've had time to sort of read it and digest it, the focus of the drop-in clinic on Thursday, the 25th of May, will be all dedicated to the scoring methodology. So if you're interested in, learning more, please do sign up and join that one. Another sort of key feature is this year, when you submit your survey, you will receive an indicative score at submission phase. So this is a huge, we're really pleased of this sort of enhancement. So as soon as you submit your survey, you will sort of have an indication of where you sit and what your performance banding will be. So again, this was some of the feedback that we got, and again, hopefully an enhancement to the scoring for this year. And that's it on scoring methodology. I will pass back to Prina if there are no questions, who will close out with our call to action. There is a quick question. Sorry, Prina, apologies. Do you have a complete list of the questionnaire publicly available? Yes. So this is in the survey guide. All of the questions that we address and we ask are in the survey guide. So we will drop the link to the toolkit, and everything that we have is in there. So yes, it is now publicly available. And also, I'm sure it was mentioned at the start, the survey is now live. So it's actually live on the platform. So we went live yesterday. So you can register and sign up and access it directly on the platform as well. I think that's it, Prina, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Haley. So as we come to the end of this session, we wanted to just wrap it up with a couple of call to actions. If you are new, thinking of or are sure to start your benchmarking journey this year, interested to start, please do register today or as soon as possible. And now that the survey is live, as Haley just reminded us, we will activate your access within 24 hours of the registration. So as soon as you register, we'll activate you within 24 hours and you will receive the next steps to get started. For returning companies, we request you to log back in and be sure to use our new user management system as we introduced earlier in the session to add new users or to activate or deactivate users. We also highly recommend you to join our weekly drop-in clinics. These are themed. We will begin with a theme and we will pre-announce these themes on the Materials Benchmark Hub, but we will also open up the floor for questions related to whether the theme or in general to the benchmark. So please do join us. We also welcome you to be a part of the Materials Benchmark Hub community. This is really important to stay most updated with benchmark related announcements, events, resources, and also it is your place for you to post any questions or to see the frequently asked questions that other benchmark practitioners are asking us. There is a high chance that those questions could also be the ones that you could be wanting to ask us or get clarity on. So with that, if you have any further support, do reach out to us at benchmark@textileexchange.org. And if you do not have any further questions, we would like to wrap this session up. Thank you so much once again for joining us today. I'm just checking if Rose is here with us, or I will conclude this webinar for us today. All right, so that concludes our webinar, and the recording of this session, the presentation on all the resources that we have shared today will be shared via a follow-up email with you. And thank you once again for joining us. Have a good day. Bye for now.